scholarship was crazy. So I was looking at about $250,000 of debt by the time I was 22 in student loans for undergrad.
Wow.
My mom's a very respectable lawyer in Alabama. People are scared of her. She's has someone on death row in Alabama right now.
Wow.
And so she's just hardcore. I want to get excited to go in this space. I want it to give me a little bit of dopamine or serotonin when I come in this room. So for example, right there, it's like now I have the money. I bought a $200 lava lamp that's 2.5 feet tall, and that sounds ridiculous, but it's cool as shit. You know what I mean? I was thankful for my dog Franklin. He was like snuggling with me in the bed, and he's just the best dog ever. I was like, I'm thankful I'm shooting a podcast with Shawn today. It's gonna be so damn fun. I lost a $2 million deal at 3% because I haven't posted on Instagram in 6 weeks, and they didn't like that, so they didn't hire me. So I need you to send me a contract, and I want to do, what do you have, a 12, 18, 24-month contract? I want to sign it today.
Welcome to the Hope Wagon.
Thank you for having me.
First time down here, probably one of many, right?
Many.
And you came to the farm on a rainy, cold day.
Got to meet the whole fam.
Yeah. They're making meatloaf. Found a baby dead mouse here.
Yeah.
Or alive, should say. It will be
And then
dead.
one of your girls immediately just wanted to take care of it.
Yeah, that's Stella. She's the little veterinarian wannabe. So.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about you today. So the Hope Wagon, obviously, what we hope to kind of accomplish on the, here is like we want to tell like stories. We want to hear people's stories. We want to hear where you're going in life, but not only where you're going, where you came from,
Yeah.
and what you overcame. Because our goal here is, I think there's too many podcasts out there that just focus on, well, I'm going to have somebody that's famous. You're kind of famous, like in your own right.
Oh my God.
But
No.
they don't get into like the nitty gritty and the stuff I think that people need to hear.
That's the thing. Instagram is called a highlight reel, and
Right.
it's literally called highlights, your highlight reel on Instagram. And so no one really talks about the low times that got you to the peaks,
Right.
the valleys, the hills and valleys that got you there. And I love seeing creators right now being authentic and 100% themselves and talk about, oh shit, the market's like this, or this is happening, or whatever.
Right.
And I love seeing the anti-highlight reel. I think it's so important.
Yeah. It gives you a peek into people's lives and builds trust too, right?
Absolutely.
So you grew up in Alabama?
I did.
What part of Alabama?
I grew up in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Roll Tide.
Okay.
Roll Tide.
All right. So
Yeah.
it's a football town.
Big time.
Okay.
The whole economy, yes.
Now, when you grow up in Tuscaloosa, is it like, do you grow up like people are like, I want to go to Alabama? Or when you grow up in Tuscaloosa, are you like, I want to get out of Alabama?
I was dying to get out of Alabama.
Okay.
I actually got accepted into Pepperdine in Malibu, got accepted to SMU in Dallas, and I was in between those two spots. And financially at the time, both my parents they still are lawyers in Alabama.
Okay.
But my mom really instilled working for everything in life. So I had a little bit of scholarship fund, a little bit. That would pay for in-state tuition, but if I wanted to go out of state, I was going to have to figure it out. And so SMU with my scholarship was like $55,000 a year.
Okay.
And Pepperdine in Malibu was, I believe, like $62,000 a year with my scholarship. Like got a 29 on the ACT, which was decent. Never could get a 30.
Yeah.
Never could get to that 30. I took it like
29's pretty
I
good.
took it like 5 times, but with scholarship it's crazy. So I was looking at about $250,000 of debt by the time I was 22 in student loans for undergrad.
Wow.
And so I was like, I guess I'm going to Alabama. And it was like, I wasn't excited, but I look back on it now, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I had the time of my life. I met some of the most incredible people along the way.
Saved a ton of money.
I think it was $4,500 a semester.
Nice.
And I was very lucky. My scholarship fund covered all school. I actually got paid to go to school. They paid for my apartment about 10 or 11 months out of the year, so I'd only have to come up with one rent bill a year, which sounds so ridiculous, but that was so difficult at the time when I was in college working because I was broke as a joke,
So what is the brokest you've ever been? Like, what's a memory you remember about being broke, or like something you had to do when you were broke?
So my mom at 18 cut me off. Like no money. And so I got a job. Dunzo, babe. Like she would help me. I will say she helped me with some books here and there if I needed books for school or whatever. But my scholarship covered that, things like that. But my mom was that woman. My mom's a very respectable lawyer in Alabama. People are scared of her. She's has someone on death row in Alabama right now.
Wow.
And so she's just hardcore. And so growing up as a kid, like even if I wanted to go to a new Italian ice spot that was $2 or $3 like a cone, I would have to make all A's that quarter to go try the new Italian ice spot that all of my friends were going to. So my mom just instilled this work ethic in me, even as a child in middle school, that I had to work to get a $2 ice cone.
Wow.
And so I feel like I've taken that with me a long ways. And that sounds aggressive as heck. It's probably to a lot of parents in 2023, but I swear I feel like I would not change the way I grew up because it instilled such a boss mentality that you don't get anything handed to you. I'm not entitled. Like I'm 25 and I work 60 to 70 hours a week because I want an killer business. I want to connect with people and I want to create, a little mini empire here in Nashville, and that's what I'm passionate about.
So, like, I think that, like, when you're growing up and you all of a sudden, like, at 18 or 21, these kids are being told, like, hey, now be an adult, now get a job, now be creative, now start your own business. Like, one of the big things that I've kind of, gets underneath my skin is that, like, well, for 18 years, we're telling kids, sit down, shut up, don't,
at school,
slow
right.
down, don't, raise your hand, be like everybody else. And then all of a sudden we flip that script,
You're like, figure it out.
Right.
YouTube it. You'll figure it out.
People weren't really scared of my mom, but my mom definitely was somebody that was similar. Like, she just instilled, like, hey, you're gonna earn what you get. I was telling somebody today, I took my buddy to Whole Foods, and he's like, man, you put a lot of dressing on your salad. And I said, well, when you grow up poor, like, actually, I was PO. Like, I was PO. We couldn't even afford the OR. And it was like, we got condiments. We're like, I wasn't allowed to pour my own condiments. Like, because they cost a lot of money. A1, we got one cap full. Like, we got one cap.
What are you putting A1 on?
Oh, huh?
What are you eating?
Well, I mean, back then it'd be like the hamburger steak or cube steak that my mom got, probably off the discount aisle. But, one cap full, and it's like, that's not enough. So nowadays, when I'm older, I'm like, I drown things in sauce, I mean,
I think of it that way too. Like right now, I'm younger. I'm in my 20s, and I feel that I'm in a place where I'm successful and I feel really proud. And so, like, for example, like this weekend, I'm building out a crazy fun office in my house right now, and I call it dopamine decor. And so basically it's like crocodile wallpaper, wild art, neon signs, like all of this crazy fun decor. And the point of it is I want to get excited to go in this space. I want it to give me a little bit of dopamine or serotonin when I come in this room. So for example, right there, it's like now I have the money. I bought a $200 lava lamp that's 2.5 feet tall, and that sounds ridiculous, but it's cool as shit. You know what I mean? And so it's little things like that. It's like now I can, and it's now I can, like, it's almost like that inner child a little bit. Maybe it's healing in a way.
Yeah.
But when I was 18, I was struggling. I mean, I was eating like protein bars, like that was my diet. Like I got down, I was thin as hell. Like it was, but I was working 30 to 40 hours a week at the Bryant-Denny Museum, the Hall of Fame Museum in Alabama. I got like $13 an hour there. I was a marketing assistant. That was my first ever job. Shout out to Bryant-Denny Museum in Tuscaloosa. You guys paved the way. Now we're here with Shawn. And I went to school and got 2 degrees and did 2 minors and graduated in 3 years.
Dang.
Because I was broke. I was like, I got to get the hell out of here and go make some money somewhere. Yeah. By the grace of God, though, at 19 years old, I got offered a full-time salary W-2 job while I was in school full-time. And that really launched my career. So I had, by the time I graduated college, I had around at least 4 years of marketing experience. So it wasn't like I had to start an intro job. My first big job when I left college, I worked at Twitter. And global advertising, did global campaigns for people like Skims and Rebecca Minkoff and the Tennessee Titans and different national campaigns, and it was incredible. It was so cool.
So Twitter was obviously that was probably a good launching board for you?
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I learned so much, like a software that I actually created and worked with a developer that I met with at Twitter. When we worked with, I remember for a Rebecca Minkoff campaign, during like Met Gala, like that famous day we have every single year. She did a campaign where she was targeting other accounts. So for example, it's called a follower lookalikes campaign. Yeah. So let's say I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm Rebecca Minkoff, I have purses. So I'm going to target maybe Coach now. They've had a really good PR comeback. Right. And I'm going to target maybe Nordstrom. So those are where my shoppers are. Yeah. So she built a following, built a campaign built on someone else's back.
Wow.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So now I've created a software that no one really can compete with. I created a organic growth algorithm that I developed myself that I implement into my clients' accounts. Wow. And we build organic, very clean followings down to a zip code, down to a city. based off what I learned at Twitter, which was the follower lookalikes campaign. I brought that to small business here in Nashville, and it is like been like fireworks. It's been amazing for my clients' growth.
That's that's a differentiator for you because there's so many people in that space, in the design space, in the advertising space, that just all they're doing is saying that they can do something, and they're like hacking or cheating, and like that's a really, really valuable tool. So basically, to understand, like, relate it to like my world. So like people that are searching and find Loan Depot or Rocket Mortgage, like I would go in and do a campaign around that, and they would end up seeing my stuff. It wouldn't
even have to be a campaign, Shawn. You would just basically give me your top 5 competitors, and I would go in and target them and basically build an organic following off their accounts onto yours.
Wow.
So it's very clean to the point, like you already have the conversion. I mean, if they're following them, they're most likely going to work with you at that point. You know what I mean?
Was the work culture like at Twitter? Like you always heard like good, and then now it's changed.
So I left right before shit hit the fan. I actually got furloughed because they wanted everyone to move to Atlanta or New York.
Oh, and you didn't want to do that?
Well, I just got my mortgage. I just bought my home. My partner Dylan and I live here. We have like 3 dogs, and I was like, I can't move to New York right now, which I would today if I could. I would literally pack my bags and move. Yeah. But I literally just got my mortgage, like just closed on my condo.
Yeah. So you were like, okay, this isn't going to work out, and then you're like, you're going to start your.
So this is a fun dip. This is what we call a valley.
Okay.
Peaks and valleys. So that happened at the time I was making candles. I owned a candle company called Scandal. So the word candle with the S in front of it. My whole message, my whole mantra was these scandalous sayings to grab people's attention. It was the marketing
on the candle.
So for example, one of my candles it was targeting like a modern day woman. I studied my market. She would be between like 20 and late 30s, and on the candle it said take a Xanax, still as Amex. So take a Xanax, still as Amex. And so, but it smelled, the fragrance it played on the saying, it smelled like a rich man. It smelled like a men's cologne, like a Ventus. Creed Ventus is what the smell was. I created it.
One of my favorite colognes.
Yeah, so I literally, the sayings were so funny, and they would basically highlight what the scent was of the candle. I had one that said block his number, enjoy your summer, and it smelled like Bum Bum Cream from Sephora, that like really coconut smell that so many girls love. And I created that fragrance and put that in the candle.
There's really high margins in candles, right?
It would cost me I did really high-end candles. So I loved coconut wax, I loved mica glitter, and coconut wax is high because a lot of cheap candle companies, they'll use paraffin, which is basically, it's not good for your lungs, not good for you.
Yeah, doesn't burn clean.
Does not burn clean. Like, will give you black soot on the walls of your house. And so I think I would make a candle for like $8 or $9 about, and then I would turn around and sell them between like 38 and 42. It's a decent margin. But I was making at the time, I profited my first year. I would say I did probably $70,000 or $80,000 in profit. And I was making candles in a 700 square foot unit at Worthen Lofts in Germantown.
And you made them yourself?
Yeah, I made it. So at the time, though, this is the crazy story, is I gained 20 pounds. I had bags under my eyes constantly. I was irritable. I was the marketer. I was the admin, the candle maker, the shipper. I did it all. I was all by myself.
Yeah.
And at the time, Twitter paid me well, so obviously if I'm only making 75, 80K in profit, I'm like, I gotta live off, I can't pay anybody, you know what I mean? I was like, that's my money, you know what I mean? And so it was like, I remember I would literally start pouring candles at 8 a.m. They would sit for 4 hours. I'd pour another batch at 12, another batch at 4, another batch at 8, do another batch at midnight, and then do another batch at 4 a.m. So I was waking up to pour candles in the middle of the night 7 days a week because they performed well.
You were selling them.
But I had to make the money.
Were you selling them online?
On Shopify, and then I partnered with a bunch of boutiques in Nashville, and then had a lot of people that found me in the wholesale side of the world. So they wanted to sell my candles in their boutiques and stores.
It's kind of bringing me some memories of I've gotten an enormous amount of requests for these hoodies.
Yeah. I want one.
You get one for
being on the show. And I want a cap hat.
You get one for being on the show.
That's awesome.
So we'll crown you a Hope Dealer. But I've been buying the sweatshirts, taking them over to my friend. She embroiders them, and then I bring them back. And I'm like, there's got to be a way, to have them almost like drop ship somewhere, where I buy the hoodie, give them the address of where it's going, and then they send them out.
You can.
Yeah?
You can do that. It's just, at the end of the day, it's like if you have a friend, you want to support their small business, It just depends. And when I found the drop shipping side of things, they were always made cheaper. Like the
Okay.
material never felt
Yeah.
great. Like they were never embroidered. They were like just printed.
Yeah. So maybe I could support my friend's business, tell her, hey, this is what my expectation is, raise the price up to cover the margin a little
Yeah,
bit.
absolutely.
So did you teach yourself all of that? Like, how you were just like, you went from working at Twitter to owning your own commerce online business is what you did.
Yeah, and one day I just looked in the mirror. I'm like, I am burnt the fuck out.
Yeah.
I'm dying.
And you weren't
Like,
happy doing it.
I was like, I feel terrible. Like, I just am exhausted. I've gained this weight. I don't feel great about myself. Like, what is happening? And so some very good friends of mine who are real estate agents in town, they reached out to me and asked me to be a director of operations and run marketing for their real estate brokerage, and they paid extremely well. And so I did that and basically shelved Scandal. And I own all the LLCs, all the rights, the Instagram accounts, everything.
Really?
Yeah, it's Shop Scandal on Instagram. And it's weird we're talking about this because yesterday Dylan was like, my partner, we were talking about holiday gifts. I was like, Dylan, I think for my clients this year, I want to bring that passion back out. That's not so much about money, the financial side of it, and just make candles for my clients for Christmas this year.
That'd
Like,
be
how fun would
great.
that be? And I want to do them cool. Like I'm gonna do them. I'll probably do like 90-ounce candles.
Yeah.
So they can burn them every day for like 100 days.
And
they
like, if
last.
you put something on it, you were like, "Hey, this is my company. I handmade this for you." That's a game changer because it's something you did.
Yeah, and I think that'd be fun to take to clients. Like, here's a huge, big ass candle. It would be massive. It'd be about 90 ounces, and like, I made this here. I want you to keep it.
And it's something that lasts and you can reuse it. A couple of years ago, to help support my mom, she lives in Clarksville.
Okay.
She's an arts and crafts mom, so she likes to make tons of arts and crafts, things out of wood, things
Yeah.
out of, and so a couple of years ago, I was like, hey, would you be willing to make 50 ornaments
Yeah.
for trees? And it was the best idea ever because I just told everybody, all my top 50 VIPs, I sent them one. I said, my mom made this. This is for your Christmas tree.
I bet that meant so much to them too.
It really
It was so
did.
intimate,
And then there were people messaging me. They were like, I didn't get one. I didn't get an ornament.
I didn't get one.
So the next year, I was like, Mom, can you do 100 of them?
Yeah.
So
I
she's
bet your mom loved that too.
Yes, and she's like, she already asked me. She's like, you're gonna want something for this Christmas? I was like, yeah. Of course, I pay her probably 5 times more than what she would charge everybody, but it's a good way to help my mom out. So
I love that.
So you went from running your business, you're burned out.
Dying.
What was the straw that broke the camel's back?
I think I just looked in the mirror and wasn't happy. And that sounds very worldly and physical, but I truly believe when I feel my best, I am the best version of myself. And I feel like I've found that again, especially in the last year and a half. Like, I went through a major life coaching program in Las Vegas, spent over 100 hours in that program. It changed my life.
Wow.
And I just live in gratitude now every single day. Like, so, for example, today, you're part of my gratitude this morning. I wake up and I open my eyes and I sit there, and before my feet touch the floor, before the phone flips, anything, and I'm bad about it. I wake up at like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm not an early riser. Sorry. Like, my work day starts at 9.
You're creative.
I am, but the thing is too, my work day sometimes ends at like 10 o'clock. So I
Right.
might start at 9, but I've worked 12 hours, you
Right.
know? I say 3 things I'm grateful for. I start every single day in that
Every
mindset.
day.
I don't think about a client. I don't think about what I'm going to eat, my dogs, whatever. I say 3 things, and today was I was thankful for my dog Franklin. He was like snuggling with me in the bed, and he's just the best dog ever. I was like, I'm thankful I'm shooting a podcast with Shawn today. It's going to be so damn fun. And I'm thankful for my clients on a rainy day that just want to get out there in the weather and still work with me every day. Like, I'm very
Yeah.
thankful, and I feel very in a mindset of gratitude that people want to show up and work with me even when days are dreary and not so fun to get out in the weather. Because, a lot of people can feel, I don't feel super motivated when it's ugly as heck outside.
Right.
And, but that's been a major mind shift as I wake up every day and I say 3 things I'm thankful for. So when you start your day out with gratitude, it really just goes up from there, in my opinion.
I think people automatically shelf that as being something hokey,
think it's
cheesy,
cheesy.
whatever.
Yeah.
And until you actually practice it, you talk about the inner work that you did. Like, I think we talked about that when we had lunch one day.
Yeah.
And that was something I learned was in order to really be in a good mood and have a good attitude, well, you got to set your attitude.
Yeah.
And I'm so passionate about this. Like, it breaks my heart to know how many people probably get up and the first thing they do is they start doom scrolling Well, when you're doom scrolling and you're seeing everybody else's highlight reel, or you're seeing the news, what's going on and stuff, how do you think your day is going to turn out? That's definitely not starting out on the good end, right?
I think it comes from a level of control too. So people come to me sometimes like, who's your competitors? I'm like, I don't really care. Like
Right.
I'm Brant Lyons, and I show up and I show out every damn day when I'm in with my
Right.
client. Like I am 110% myself. I come in, let's say I walk in the van right now and you're like, hey Brant. And I'm like, hey Shawn, how are you? Like, how's your day? I got out of the car with you. We were up there. I'm like, Shawn, beautiful house. Like, thank you for having me. This is incredible. I immediately set the tone.
Yes.
I take control.
Yeah.
And so it is going to be very hard for a client to be like, if I come in and I'm just on cloud nine. If I come in, even if I'm not having the best day, I know, and I don't really believe I'm faking it until I'm making it. I just think I'm really trying to shift my mindset at the end of the day. If I come in with a 10 out of 10 energy, then they're going to mirror me back, because in life, we are all mirrors of ourselves. And gratitude is severely underrated, in my opinion. I really do believe that.
I have an app that I use. It's called Think Up.
Okay.
And so Think Up is just like your gratitude. I also do affirmations.
Yeah.
So I'll lay there in bed, I wake up, and I'll say some gratitudes. Usually mine are like, I don't know, it can be 5, sometimes it's 10. I'm kind of ripping it off.
It can be minor things.
And sometimes I doze off again and I wake back up and do it again. And I'm like, well, you already did gratitudes. But then after I work out, I come in and I get in the shower, and we have speakers in our bathroom, and I will play the Think Up app. And what the Think Up app is, I wrote out like 10 affirmations.
Okay.
Like, I've started remembering them because I listen to them so much now. Like, my energy is a superpower and I'll use it wisely.
Yeah.
And as I listen to those over and over and over every day, I'm like, if anybody saw me listening to these, talking to myself, and it puts music behind it, and the timer goes off, so it reminds you whatever times a day you want it to go off, and then you just listen to it. And you can let it loop, and it'll do it, read all 10 affirmations 3, 4, 5 times. Yeah. And there's background
music. It's your
music.
subconscious at that point.
But it does, yeah. I mean, people would laugh at me, but like listening to that literally changes my day.
I think success comes from a place of delusion. Like, I think you have to be a little bit delusional and think like life's gonna work out for me. Like, life is for me, not against me. Yeah. Like, and I don't mean delusional in a negative connotation. I mean it in a little bit like living in the clouds. Like, being a daydreamer, really thinking like, I'm not worried about that right now because this is gonna happen for me. You know what I mean? Being in that more, maybe a little bit of manifestation, maybe a little bit more like, I, not in an entitled way, deserve this, but I work for this and I want this and it's going to happen. Yeah. And I've just been like that as my life. I've always had these feelings as a kid. I'm like, I'm going to do something big, and it's because I want to do something big. I care. And so I think when you're in that energy constantly, I mean, you're bound to succeed.
Do you ever feel like I do, like where it's like you always just tell yourself like, this isn't what I was ultimately meant to do. Like, I'm going to do something even bigger than this. Like, I'm always, and people tell me all the time, like, you should be grateful or you should be happy with where you're at. They take it as like they're trying to tamper you down. And I'm like, no, I'm just excited
for what's next.
Right.
I just know that I'm meant for more.
Yes, absolutely.
It's this energy. It almost gives you chills.
Yes. And you could transfer it to other people too. So you had your candle business. You
went and worked with my friends in real estate.
Okay, so then you went to work for your friends in real estate, and then that was during the time, obviously, that people in Nashville were just killing it and experiencing the explosive growth.
People were my real estate agent clients, and I was working with back then. They were doing $100,000 a month in commission.
Yeah.
And so I joke with them now. I'm like, I don't want to hear any of you agents complaining.
Right.
I don't want to hear any bitching. I don't want to hear any negativity, because if you were smart, you would have saved at least 50%. And I don't want to hear it.
That's
Love
right.
you so much, but y'all were making millions, or let's say even my my lower my agents, not lower, but my agents that weren't doing $100,000 a month. Let's say they were doing $500,000 a year.
Yeah.
You did not need to spend $500,000 that year, and I pray to God you did it. And so I'm weird about that. Like my checks, like when I get, when I have a bookkeeper twice a month, and they put 0.55, so 55% times it, and they throw it into a savings account. So I live off 45% of what I make.
Nice.
So if I want something nice, if I want to treat myself, it has to come out of that 45%. It has to come out of that mortgage account, that car account, whatever. So if I want to buy myself a pair of shoes or something like that, it doesn't come out of that savings. It comes out of that 45%.
Most people built that lifestyle, though, up to the $1 million, $2 million, $3 million a year. I mean, I have friends in the mortgage industry. I'm in a national coaching program, and I mean, I had friends making $5, $10, $20 million a year doing mortgages.
It's unreal.
I mean, I had hundreds of loan officers.
Yeah.
And like, there is something to say to the bigger they are, the big. what is it? The bigger you are, the harder the fall.
Yeah,
right?
And it hurts.
I mean, I'm seeing that with some of my friends that are builders, and we have to have these times to really, really teach us some lessons on
A little humility.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I went through 2008. So like when I went through 2008, when this whole thing came, I was prepared because I've been a saver ever since then.
Yeah.
Similar to you, it's like I set it up on auto draft for 12 years. And it just went over here, and my wife's like, "Where's that going?" I was like, "Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And we're giving it to our financial advisor. He knows what he's doing."
Yeah, and financial literacy is so important. Like when I was 23, that condo at Worthen that we were talking about, that's what really set up my career working with a ton of real estate agents. I bought a condo at 21.
Okay.
For $315,000.
At Worthen Lofts, which is a super, super cool
place. Which is
place.
Incredible. It was only 12 square feet, guys.
It's an old factory, right?
It was an old factory. It was really, really cool. I bought it for $315,000. I had no money at the time. I was, working.
Probably did zero down on it.
Well, I did. I think all in all with the close, because I negotiated close. I've always been a negotiator. So I didn't pay closing, and I think in total I spent $13,000 to get in that condo.
Crazy.
with the down payment. So $13K, which at the time I'd only saved like $15 or $16K.
Right.
So I put that $13K down and I was broke.
And
at
what did it
$3,000
go up to?
So, well, I was about to get there too. So the thing is, a lot of people don't know this. When I've bought a property, I don't pay a mortgage for 2 months technically. So about 75 days. Every mortgage I've ever had, it's like a grace period to the 15th. It's the same. So at the time, I didn't have a ton of money. I was like, okay, I put $13,000 down to get in this condo. I can now save for the next 75 days. So I aggressively saved every check. I saved 60 or 70% because I had no bills really, just the water and the light bill. My mortgage hadn't hit yet. So I got my savings back up to like 15, 18K once that mortgage hit. And then I started saving aggressively from there, but I kept that place 2 years for taxes.
Yep.
And I sold it from Instagram for $500,000.
$500,000.
And I owed, I think, like $280 something.
So you made a couple $100,000 on it off 13 down.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I always tell people,
down.
I'm like, why are you putting $50,000 or $100,000 down? You still get the same asset.
Mm-hmm.
So your ROI, I'm just roughly calculating, was like 250%, almost 250% per.
Yeah, I made at 23, and that was what changed my life. I made over $200,000, and I literally went to the closing table. I found the buyer from Instagram. It was Kane Brown's songwriter.
Josh?
No.
Oh, the other.
He has a few.
Okay.
He has a few. But he has platinum records all over my loft now, and he'll send me photos and loves it, and we still talk.
He still lives there?
Yeah, we still talk.
That's cool.
And he's made it cool, and but you go to the closing table, we close. I found the buyer from Instagram, didn't use any real estate agents, and at the time
you breezed over that. You sold the place on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
All by yourself.
I posted a reel of it, on my Instagram, and it only got like 40 or 50 shares, but it just got to the right real estate agent, and I paid that real estate agent. I think technically I did use an agent because he connected me with the buyer, but I think I paid him $5,000.
Did you take your software and retarget people that were looking?
I hadn't started that software just yet. I should have though. Wouldn't that have been awesome?
You could do that with properties.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's multiple things people can do with your company, which we'll talk about here in a minute.
But I literally paid that real estate agent $5,000, so I made over $200,000 technically because I owed like $280 something on the property, and to make that deal happen I used Instagram and paid a real estate agent $5,000 in commission when I should have paid him at least like close to 15 or 16 grand.
That's why mortgages are boring, they're not sexy. And like I've struggled for so long and being like I know my purpose is here, but how do I create a brand around something that is like will show people like the game changer, the difference that that real estate can make in people's lives.
But I think at the end of the day, that's you, Shawn. It's your brand. You're Shawn Kaplan. So you're not a mortgage lender. You're Shawn.
Yeah.
And so you get to be motivational and talk to people and make connections and be yourself, be your brand. And that's what you'll get to figure out like over time, and you'll get to, hopefully, I want to see you on stages and life coaching and all of the things, maybe some business coaching too, which you already do, but just even go bigger with that.
Well, thank you for saying that. I love hearing the story where, you took a risk.
Yeah, it was scary.
You sold it. You made that type of money. It's like, that's game-changing stuff for people.
And I've rolled it into another house. I bought another house with Dylan, my boyfriend, and we live in like Westmead, right by Belmead, which... Can I tell this story real quick?
Great.
This is going to be cut up in reels. This story I'm about to tell you, you're going to die. Okay, so I've always had a marketer's brain. I'm always thinking outside the box, like thinking about a buyer perspective. Like, what does this need to be? Like, what would how is this going to happen? So Dylan tells me the only way I can, because I sold Worthen at the time to get in this new house, because I didn't have enough. I put like $75,000 down on this new house, and I didn't have enough. I didn't have $75K without selling.
Okay.
But Dylan comes to me, is like, and he's bossy. He's like, I'm not. It's his dream loft. He loved Worthen. It was all black, moody, sexy. I mean, if you've seen my Instagram, you know my loft. It was amazing. It was only 700 square feet though. It was tiny. And Dylan said, the only way I'm leaving is if you get me 3,000 square feet with a massive backyard and a 2-car garage. I said, fuck, that's going to cost about 1.5. And I was like, I don't have 1.5. So I was like, shit, what am I going to do? Like, I'm going to have to move to like Antioch or move out or something, like, I don't know.
Murfreesboro.
He's like, I want it over 3,000 square feet and I want to have a bar in my house. I'm like, God, you are just so much, but I'll get it for you. I'll figure it out. So, I'm like, I'm not going to find that. We're going to have to move out. I'm going to have to move out to like Spring Hill or far. It started snowing.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, wow, when it snows here in Nashville, people go crazy. Businesses close, people don't work, and the market slowed.
Yep.
Because no one's house shopping when it's snowing and no one can get out in the cars. Dylan had an Escalade. I put that bitch in 4-wheel drive and went and bought a house. Because it snowed for 10 days. Everyone was inside for over
They were just happy
weeks.
to see somebody that wanted to buy that
house.
house.
Yeah, so that house, it was right after. It was like February, March, like when it snowed a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Remember it snowed for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
No
It shut things down.
It shut it down.
It was awesome.
And so the snow hit the ground and it was forecasting a week, and I'm watching my weather app. I'm like, Dylan, this is when we buy a house. I go into Real Tracks. I put in my price point, my square footage, everything. Only a few houses show up. Like maybe 5 in the whole city of Nashville and Davidson County. I book, go see these houses with a client, a friend of mine, or an agent. And within 24 hours, I was under contract at $197 a foot in Westmead.
What?
Mm-hmm. I've got the house for a little over $600,000.
Oh my gosh.
4 bedrooms, over 3,000 square feet, in a cul-de-sac. I don't have neighbors. I have a speakeasy bar in the bottom of my house, a 2-story deck, a hot tub. It's like a little mini resort.
Wow.
It's just me and Dylan and our 3 dogs. So definitely dual income parents, like living in this little. But at the end of the day, me and Dylan split the mortgage on it, and we got a 4% interest rate. When the interest rates were still kind of hitting the 4s and 5s, they were still good, but our payment right now is like $3,000 a month, so we split that. So technically, in the mortgage world, you know this. So if we split that, that means he needs to bring it's $1,500. So we would both need to bring home only $4,500 a month to be able to afford this house, which obviously we're doing, but. It's just incredible that I got that deal at that time, because I was like, oh my God, it's snowing.
Well, your wisdom paid off, because
I was thinking to myself, I was like, no one is going to buy a house right now. It's snowing. And I put that car in 4-wheel drive and I went house shopping.
It's very smart. That's why I've always told people, buy around the holidays. November, December, January is the best months to buy a house.
I think January, February, when it's like cold and miserable too. Like even the New Year, like go house shopping.
Because your beautiful house too, kind of gets downgraded a little bit with all the snow and wet, rain, mud, and all that.
Yeah, and all the leaves are dead, so it doesn't look beautiful around the house. Like the landscaping normally looks terrible. The grass is like brown here in Nashville. So, but now we bought that house for $630,000, and I could sell it tomorrow, even in this market with a 7% interest rate. I could probably list it around like $899 to $925.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And you got speakeasy, you said?
I have a hidden speakeasy bar in my house. You have to come over.
I got to check it out.
Come over for a cocktail.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a little speakeasy bar. We have a movie theater upstairs. It's all black. I actually have some really cool sconces from the old Hermitage Hotel we got from an auction that are on each side of our little movie theater screen. And then Dylan's office is upstairs, my office is upstairs, and then a few bedrooms.
And Dylan owns House of Black.
Dylan owns House of Black. He's a designer and a builder here in town.
And he's built a lot of properties. I've seen a lot of his different work.
Yeah, I'm so proud of him. He's getting into the higher price range for sure, like the 1.5 to 3 here in Nashville, which is so cool because he's in his 20s. But a lot of people are attracted to his business. He's a designer and a builder for the price of just paying for a basic builder in town.
Right.
So when you get that, a lot of these places now are paying 25 to 50 grand a house for design.
Yep.
And so Dylan basically cuts that. It's like, hey, if you build with me, you get that for free. Like I'll design and you'll have a designer on site every day of the week. You know what I mean? And it's really important when you have a designer building your house, like little finishes and little things. Like, for example, a woman in her bathroom wouldn't want lights over her head when she's doing her makeup. She wants lights that project. A basic builder would not know that. It really takes different key elements that a designer can offer when building a house to make it the perfect home, because all the little things add up.
It's a great combo and a great brand, which leads us to this next segment, which is, so everyone's talking about branding.
Mm-hmm.
everyone's talking about social media. So many people are doing it wrong. Your Instagram is
Brand Lions.
That's
or
right.
you talking about my business one?
Yeah.
Stay on brand.
Stay on brand.
Stay on brand, like on. So my business is on brand, like on brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me if I'm accurate in what I've observed. You seem to be really, really good with somebody who's running a professional business. Like they've set a high bar for themselves, but they necessarily don't really know how to do it all, how to buy the equipment, how to shoot themselves.
Yeah.
Like from what I've seen is some of your clients out there, like you make them look like a rock star. Talk a little bit about your business and like what you feel like, your brand is and what makes you different from these other people that just are bringing out a camera and doing these terrible videos. Like, I hate to say that, but they're just awful.
I just always had this like little aesthetic about me. When Instagram became popular when I was a kid, I was on it immediately. Like, I've always just loved, when I turned 14, I got like a camera for Christmas. And another way I paid myself through college was photography. I did a lot of senior shoots and headshots for LinkedIn.
Really?
That's how I paid my way, a little extra money here and there. But I would have at least 2 photo shoots a week in college. And you would charge like $150 for a photo shoot or less, and you would get 50 edits in Lightroom. And I was good at editing in Lightroom and in Adobe products at the time.
Wow.
Yeah. So
have you always had like a tech kind of side?
I've always just loved new products, new softwares, new technology. I think AI is really cool right now in the Photoshop world.
Your parents were lawyers, so you always had good computers.
Well, I was the only child too. My parents were like, "You got to figure this out."
I bet
like,
you guys had a
busy.
Mac when they first came out.
My mom did get me a Mac when we had to get a computer for school, and she wanted me to be able to do a little bit more creative processes and things like that. So I did get a Mac when I went, and I think I had to work or do something that summer before 9th grade, so I earned one. Okay. But I got a Mac in 9th grade.
I had to turn our fireplace on so we can get
good.
a
little warmth, y'all. It's cold here in Nashville today. I'm freezing. Yeah. But my pitches to clients is my average monthly retainer can be around, let's say, $2,500 a month.
Okay.
An average. And I have some people that are very low, like in the, $1,500, $2,500. I have some in the $4,000 to $5,000, $6,000 a month. It just depends on all what you want. Right. So my pitches is, let's say, on an average, it's $2,500 a month. So we're talking on average about $30,000 a year.
Yep.
And you're getting someone that has worked in a Fortune 500 company, someone who has that consulting experience, all of that. So if you went and hired someone,
knows how the algorithms are working,
and I study that Monday morning with a coffee. I'm always studying that. Yeah. I educate myself on what's trending and what's going on in the meta world, so Instagram and Facebook, every single Monday morning with a cup of coffee, because I have to stay sharp for my clients. I have to know about, everyone jokes now about Gen Z, like just get a Gen Zer, and I have to stay sharp and young like that too, even though I'm in my 20s.
Moving so fast.
It is. It moves daily.
And I have people I've worked with that they just didn't move fast enough, and they were great at one moment, but 6 months later, it's like
wasn't consistent, which is where you lose. So you hire me $2,500 a month, $30,000 a year. So if you hired someone like me to work for you full time to be a social media manager and do, mainly marketing for organic content at your real estate brokerage, your small office, your dentist office, you would have to probably pay someone of my expertise around $125,000 to $150,000 a year.
Sure.
So my pitch is, hire me. You'll still get the same effect every month, and you'll write me off 100% when it comes to tax season as a 1099 as a marketing expense. So it's a win-win. I cut it into maybe a fourth of what you'd actually have to pay someone of my expertise. You get to write me off. I shoot with you 1-2 days a month for just a couple hours here and there. I come in, take the burden off you, come with the creativity, come with the concepts, feed you lines if we're talking, a little bit of creative direction. I go home, cut it up, edit it, and manage your account and grow it at the same time all month long. So that's why I'm in business, baby.
I mean, you only got to close 3-4 transactions more a year at the average purchase price here in Nashville as a real estate agent.
Well, a lot of my clients too, it's like, a lot of I'm very lucky. Let's talk about my real estate clients, and I have some that are surgeons, doctors, all that, but I would say 60% of my clients are real estate agents. So they look as like, okay, I just need to do a $1 million deal to pay for on brand to run all social, all marketing for me for a whole year. Yeah. And I would say a majority of my clients are high producing real estate agents. So $1 million deal for someone to do all their marketing all year long is like sold, done, take it. And they write me off at the end of the day too. It's like,
and you don't have to buy all the equipment either.
No.
I mean, I've got $5,000 worth of equipment here.
Probably even more than that, Shawn.
That stuff, and you got to keep it up. You got to and have you do it.
And a lot of people just don't have the creative bone too, like feeding lines and talk about different topics and all that. And I come in and I have like a notes file of, let's say we do more trendy, fun real estate reels, like the funny sounds, things like that. I have a notes file on my phone right now with 70 reels ready to go.
Wow.
So that's very valuable too. Honestly, you should probably sell that on like Etsy or something for real estate agents. So you just click the link and replicate it.
So I coach a lot of lenders in a nationwide coaching program.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're all addicted to, like, buying leads for a realtor, sponsoring an event, which there's nothing wrong with those things. But I think the game is changing so fast. I just told them the other day, I said, you'd be better off going to a brokerage or an agency or a big team and saying, I want to partner with an agency that's going to come in and help you with your digital and your social.
Yeah.
Like, I think the investment in that, I told someone on that call, I said, I don't call it social media, I call it business media.
Yeah.
Like, you should be treating it as if it's your billboard. It's
Mm-hmm.
your big, the amount of people that are looking at the content on social media on a daily basis right now,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's not a game anymore.
I got a client last week call me, literally signed within an hour. She called me, she's like, I've been following you on Instagram, I've been wanting to hire you, I've just been feeling lazy, not wanting to, and she does well. She probably does at least 20 million a year.
Okay.
So if you
It's a good
average that at a
realtor.
2% commission rate, she's making $400,000 a year.
Yep.
And she's in her 20s. She's doing really good. And she calls me and says, hey, I just lost a $2 million deal in Green Hills, like 12 South area. So it would have been an easy sell. They were going to list it lower than what it actually probably could have gotten for a few months ago. Like a quick, they just need to sell it. I lost a $2 million deal at 3% because I haven't posted on Instagram in 6 weeks and they didn't like that, so they didn't hire me. So I need you to send me a contract and I want to do, what do you have, a 12, 18, 24 month contract? I want to sign it today. She lost a $60,000 commission because she had not posted in a month on Instagram.
Yeah.
And she called me immediately and she's going to do a package that's $2,000 a month, so $24,000 for the whole year. So, I'm not saying this is a perfect world, perfect explanation or scenario for myself, but she could have invested in me and done $24,000 a year and kept that $60K in that commission.
Yeah.
All if she just invested back in her brand and written me off at the end of the year. And so I'm getting calls now where it's like, hey, like, I wanted to list this, but I lost the deal because I wasn't active. Can I hire you? I'm seeing that a lot now because social media is like a baseline. It's like,
Right.
if real estate agents aren't doing it, it's like, what are you doing? Like,
Right.
it's a little odd. Like,
Yeah.
I need you marketing my property. If I'm going to sell a $500,000 house, let's say I have a $500,000 house I want to sell, and I interview agents, I'm going to pick the one who's marketing my product, my home,
Right.
something that's intimate, where I can make as much money on this investment as I can and move forward.
Yeah.
So if I go in and say, like, let's say they even do $50 million a deal, if they're not a year, $50 million a year in transactions, if I don't see they're active on Instagram or Facebook, really marketing their brand and who they are in the real estate business, I'm not hiring them.
I see tons of people like that right now. I believe that we're headed for a brand identity cliff. And I think what's going to happen is
I love that you said that because I've even thought
Oh,
about it.
my gosh.
I felt that, but I love the way you put that.
you're going to have these $100 million producers,
Mm-hmm.
and I can name 10 of them right now
Mm-hmm.
that are not taking social seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And what's going to happen, I've told them over and over, is you're going to look up and you're going to lose a sale here. You're going to lose a builder account here.
Yeah.
You're going to lose a big listing here. And you're going to look up and you're going to say,
It's going to add up.
to that little guy down the road that has a really great camera, that has hired a team that really is, consistent with it.
Mm-hmm.
The consistency, I'm glad you brought that up. So that's the next client that you're looking for. That would be a great client, is somebody that puts out great content, but you'll look and like they haven't posted in 3 or 4 weeks. And
Yeah.
that's because they stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning trying to edit the video. And
Yeah, I had one woman take me to lunch a few months back, and she was like, I'm so thankful that we're working together because my marriage is better, my relationships are better with my kids because I don't stay up till 11 to 12 o'clock at night and do my own marketing materials anymore. I get to go home at 6 o'clock because she works 8 to 6, still a pretty long day, and I take care of all of her marketing and socials for her, and she's noticing that she's had more intimate time with her husband. Her husband loves me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
he's getting more attention, the kids are getting more attention, they have more date nights.
she's not
the
sitting
kids,
here all night like this
and
trying
she
to do
was
her
doing
video.
that at least 4 nights a week.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So she took me to lunch, paid for lunch. We had a bottle of champagne, celebrated because her life literally changed because that sounds so corny and cheesy, but her life changed because she surrendered and let that go, and now it's more professional and it's been good for her,
What do you think the appropriate cadence is on posting? Like, I've had people ask me this all the time. They're like, is once a day too much? Is it 3 days a week?
So for you're more of a, in my opinion, a coaching scenario right now. Like, obviously, I know you're a lender. I would want to get a mortgage through you because you're amazing. But I see you more as a educator. Like, I would learn a lot from you. So when I think of more of the Tony Robbins, the Gary Vee, they're posting every day because they're giving out, when you used to get those texts years ago and it was like a little good luck or like a Bible verse in the morning, like people would text you that. I mean, that's basically this version now on Instagram. That's what you guys are doing in the mornings. So I see people that are in the coaching space, yes, post daily or every other day, but when it comes to agents and more in the business, I wouldn't post every single day because it's already difficult for a lot of people to follow business accounts even to begin with. So if I'm just saying business all day long, like I go to Instagram to escape and see something fun or something I enjoy or learn, So I would, if I'm not learning anything, if you're just a real estate agent, show me a house or show me your listing, like I would say I would recommend like 2 to 4 times a week.
Okay.
Depending on, the time and money and effort you want to put into it. But I would say even if you're an agent just posting 8 to 10 times a month, that's great.
Yeah.
Better than nothing.
Consistently.
If you're posting even 2 rows of content a month, that's even 6. I mean, I'm still like, at least they're putting it in.
Something I've been encouraging people to do, and we'll land this plane, is if you're going through something tough in life right now, if you're having a challenging time, like, guess what? Other people probably are too.
Absolutely.
Like, why do you think so many people have a tough time sharing publicly? We started, before we started recording, we were talking about the highlight reel, right? Like, why are people having so much trouble in saying, hey, I'm not doing well right now, and sharing it with the world? Because those are the posts that get the best engagement.
They do.
Most authentic, comments.
Like, I had a bad week, and I don't, honestly, I have great days and great weeks. Like, I normally don't let a lot get to me, and that's been a lot of work in the last year. But the other day I had a day that wasn't great, and I posted on Instagram, and I have not had that many views and questions and comments.
I remember that post.
DMs.
That one stood out.
I was
to
just
me.
and I was honest. I was like, I'm having a week, y'all. Or
Right.
It wasn't a week, it was a day. It was a pretty bad day. And so many people checked on me, and I think at the end of the day, we're all human.
Yeah.
I told you this about your brand, like, really focus on emotion and ethos, how you can make a viewer feel. And that might be advice, that might be a feeling, an aesthetic, whatever that looks like, but really focus your brand on social and ethos. And I think going through COVID, a lot of people lost the humanistic connection with people, and I think it's detrimental to the formations of our brains, for our kids' brains, all of that, and how important it is on a day-to-day basis. So I think at the end of the day, like, all of us going through COVID are just dying for that humanistic connection. So I think if you can get that off on social and connect and be authentic and honest, because so many people are tired of seeing these editing apps, so many people are tired of the fraud, they live in $1 million house, but they're living paycheck to paycheck. Like, live within your means. Be honest. Like, don't, fake it till you make it is great, but I feel like the whole keeping up with the Joneses mentality is actually dying right now. And I think people are liking seeing people live in their means, or at least working hard to get where they are and be authentic about, like, my story. Like, it was hard as hell. Like, I was basically starving, working my butt off, and not sleeping and all these things to get where I am now. But, I mean, I tell people like this too. I'm like, do y'all think I wanted to save $13,000 to buy that first condo? No, I wanted to go to Nordstrom and shop. I wanted to go on trips. I wanted to go out and drink all the time.
Right.
I've lived broke for like a year saving that money to buy that condo that now changed my life financially. And so I like to paint the picture and be authentic. Like someone said to me recently, well, you're in your big house now. You got a good interest rate. I said, no, honey, I lived a life of hell for about a year saving for that 700 square foot condo that I lived in that made me $200,000.
Yeah. And
I painted everything, did all the work myself, busted my ass. And so people see the ending, the climax, and it's like, no, we need to be authentic about how we led there and how difficult it was, because I sure lived many, many years where it wasn't just highlight reels.
We are living in those moments that people are choosing to how they're writing their story right now. Mm-hmm. And people need to understand that, like, how you face that adversity right now, you're going to look up in 5 and 10 years and probably be sitting on a podcast and sharing your story with somebody. And what story do you want to share? When we were living in this RV, I was telling you, like, I remember coming home and I was just having some foul days. And I was determined to just be foul, be miserable. And then I thought, people are watching. People are watching my social.
And your energy
They're-
reflects
my
theirs. I
energy.
told you we're all a mirror of each other in this world.
They're waiting to see how I react.
Mhm.
And I was like, I need to make sure this is a good chapter. Like, I need people to say, man, that was tough, but look how he handled it. And if people just look at these circumstances right now that they're going through, but more so, I think freedom. I heard this quote the other day. Shortening the best way to shorten your pain is to tell the story, because you're getting it out. And like my realtor friends, my builder friends, my mortgage lender friends right now, you see the desperation posting. It's like da-da-da about interest rates, da-da-da about a new listing.
Feels manic.
Yeah, and what they don't understand is
scary.
what you're telling people that are struggling, people that are challenged right now, people that don't have the money to go finance at 7.75%. You're telling them you're tone deaf to it. But if they went to the other side and said, hey,
I get
we're
where
having to
you're coming
tighten
from.
our budget in our household. We decide we can't go on a vacation this Christmas. You know, this is what's going on in the real estate industry. Imagine how many more people would be connected with them, you know?
They are.
I tell my friends, I'm like, you're hurting yourself every time you post a new listing, every time you're posting, like, do it in a good way, but don't just constantly over and over and over. You got to sprinkle some stuff in there that tells people you're real.
Yeah. I think educational too. Like I have a really good friend of mine right now who's building an insane house, and she calls me and she's very authentic. Like, I'm having to cut this out and do this and do that. And it's not like she's, going to cut any, it's not going to be cheap by any means. It's still over a $2 million house. It's going to be iconic. But I think if we pivoted and talked about her experience building right now and what she's cutting and what she's doing to get to the finish line and talk about budget cuts, and I think if she was honest about, hey, I wanted this Venetian plaster, I wanted this stone outside my house, it was cost this much, but I can't do it. I can't afford it. I can't do it. I think, really talking about more of the uncomfortable negative things that get under people's skin, people will be obsessed with that person because they're being authentic and talking about like,
Right.
I can't do this. And I think it's ridiculous that it costs this much. Like just being, instead of living like, oh, I can afford to put this in my house and do that. Like that's not relatable. Like, that's not fun. I want to know, oh God, you're like, you can't do that. And you're going to find a solution for it. Like you're going to end up going this design route or this finish or that. And that's what gives me the feeling and the ethos, back to the motion of that. You're a damn good builder and you know what you're doing and you're pivoting. You're solution based.
Right. So one of my, you make me think, one of my little dreams is to, I want to go see Kid Rock's new White House that he built.
I want to too.
And
can we go together?
Yeah. Somebody, if you can get us to go take a tour.
Brant Lyons and Shawn Kaplan want to
take
go.
a tour of Kid Rock's.
I'll film it. How about that? You do the tour, I'll film it.
Yeah, there we go. But it makes me think about, everyone only sees Kid Rock's new house. It's 2 bedrooms with a gold elevator and all of that, 27,000 square feet. But did you know he lived in a mobile home for 10 years on the property?
Not.
He went into a Clayton Mobile Homes.
Even with his like fame and money and everything, he still lived in a mobile home.
He went into a Clayton Mobile Homes and he's like, I'll take, what's your biggest and nicest mobile home? And he goes, I'll take 2 of them. And he put them together and then he wrapped it in mossy oak camo.
No, he did.
And he lived there for 10 years.
We've got to add these images in this video.
Yeah, there's pictures of it online.
Well, it's like
you. Can see
I
it.
mean, you live in this beautiful, sunny house that you've worked so hard for, but you lived on a bus with your whole family.
In
the
Antioch.
the Hope Dealer bus.
Yeah.
And it just shows that, like, obviously you could have afforded to go on and rent something, but the timeline's obviously building all of that. But you stuck with your family and just weathered the storm, and y'all are all even closer probably after it.
I wouldn't recommend it. One of my friends.
wouldn't recommend it,
One of my
but-
friends is renovating their home. They just moved in the other day, and they're like, "We're doing camper life. Any recommendations?" I was like, "Yes." Live in it for 30 days and then go to an Airbnb for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Go back to it for 30 days. But we did 6 months straight and just about lost our.
With 2 kids, y'all. Shawn is the MVP.
Yeah. Well, I really, really appreciate you being here
Thank
on
you
the
for
Hope
having
Dealer
me. I appreciate
podcast.
you.
Please tell the audience, how can they find you?
Yeah, so my name's Brant Lyons. Once again, I own On Brant Agency here in Nashville. Our handle is Stay On Brant, so STAYONBRANT.
We'll put all the info below. You guys reach out to Brant. Make sure that if you are trying to do this journey on social media alone, or you know the importance of branding and you're not taking the right steps, give this guy a shout out. Shoot him a DM.
Yeah, I would love to. I'm always open to communicating and giving people advice because I'd love to help people and see them thrive. That's what fulfills me. So just reach out.
Well, we really appreciate you being on here. Enjoyed the discussion.
Thanks for having me, Shawn.
Hey, thanks for tuning into the Hope Wagon, folks.